Hey everybody! Now remember recently I did an interview and introduced you to Paul, who is cycling around Australia raising awareness for mental health after his own failed suicide attempt. Now cycling and mental health, it goes hand in hand because a lot of us are riding to overcome trauma, problems in our life, to build up our fitness, to build strength and resilience. Now, Paul, before he started riding and in the early days of his riding, he kept a diary, and I'm just going to flip this through to you now, show you this now. He's kept a diary, and when I talk to Paul, he has these incredible insights. I mean, like, he's spent so many hours on the bike. He's recovered from a suicide attempt. He's riding massive distances. By the end of it, he's going to ride 27,000 kilometers. He's already ridden 10,000 kilometers. He camps, he rides his bike, and you just think, when you're riding, what's going through your mind? You know, what's going on in your life? What are you doing? What are you retraining your mind and your body to do? He's got massive insights into that. And I said, can you share these with everybody? Because I know it's going to be helpful for a lot of you. A lot of what he has said is helpful to me. It's been very insightful. So we're here in Wellington Caravan Park, where Paul is staying for a couple of months while he's working to build up funds to carry on his journey. And so we're going to sit here now and go through some of these insights and share them with you over the coming weeks in different segments each week. So, Paul, thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you again for inviting me on the show. It's marvellous.
You have incredible insights around resilience. I think is a huge one. Well, you were talking about your cycling journey, and you're talking about overcoming the mental health and what you've gone through. Tell us about that and how cycling
for me is extremely therapeutic, as we mentioned earlier, and what I found is that by exercising and by cycling, I can control those memories and to stop them from affecting me, stop them from having a direct effect on me mentally. I can control them as in cycling. I see something like 100 kilometres in one day and say, right, okay, instead of being traumatised by the 100 kilometres, I say, right, I break it down into 10 times 10. So it's 10 kilometres, 20 kilometres, 30 kilometres. By the time I've got to 50 kilometres, I've only got to do that again. So I say to myself, what's the problem? What's the big deal? I've done 50 kilometres now, I've only got to do that again. And it's only 12 o'clock. By tea time, I'm at my destination. And that's the day gone. So we can do that when the trauma occurs. Don't be traumatised by the trauma. This is why we call it a trauma. We're traumatised by something. And if we break it down and just nibble it away little bit by little bit at the problems that are occurring, break it down into a smaller problem and say, well, okay, I'm not going to bed early enough. I should go to bed earlier. I should eat properly. Just tiny little things in the correct direction, and pick on those little things. By 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, we've interested ourselves in something else, in a good part, in a positive part. And this is what I try to do with cycling as well. I haven't forgotten what happened. I've stopped trying to remember what's happened. It is a memory, but it's a memory that's affected me dramatically. It's a terrible thing that happened to me, and it happens to many, many people. But what I've tried to do is I've tried to stop remembering it continually. Try to put it to the back of my mind, but always have that memory there. But don't keep on thinking time and time about it. And that's basically what I'm doing with cycling, breaking it down into kilometre after kilometre and say, right, once I've accomplished 10 kilometres, I've only got to do those 9 times. When I've accomplished 70 kilometres, I'm 3/4 of the way there. And if I can do that day after day after day, it doesn't become a chore, it doesn't become a huge distance. It becomes an enjoyable journey, and similar to life. Con the mind into thinking positively as opposed to dwelling on something that's happened in the past and saying, oh, that's terrible, I don't feel well. Convince the mind that you're okay. Convince yourself that you're okay. At first it's difficult to do, but one begins to learn how to do it, and if we can just break it down fractionally into each kilometre, each 10 kilometres, each 20 kilometres, it seems that daunting task of 100 kilometres is much more manageable then.
I like that, yeah, retraining your brain, not focusing on the past as well. And so when you find yourself going there, which is going to drag you down and make you feel, pulling it back, saying, no brain, let's focus on this. and into bite-sized pieces that you can, and then it builds that strength, that resilience.
And that's very similar to riding a bike. If we look forward, we're going forward. If we keep looking behind ourselves, we're going to crash. It's simple. You don't look back all the time. Remember what happened. Remember that there's a car going to come up sometime. Remember what's happened in your life, but don't dwell on it. Don't keep dwelling. Don't keep looking back. Look forward. I strongly believe that. Sometimes difficult.
It's not always easy to do, but it's continuously building that strength. Yeah. Okay, everyone, keep watching and stay tuned for the next tip and insight from Paul.
Thank you.